The waves crashed against the shore as I stood in the doorway of our Malibu beach house, watching Adrien pack the last of his things. Every movement was slow and careful, like he was handling something valuable, not ending 15 years of marriage. "The movers will get the rest tomorrow," he said without looking at me. His voice was cold and distant, like I was just another deal he had finished. I held a manila envelope in my hands. Inside was the document that would change everything. The prenup he had insisted I sign all those years ago. The one he had never truly read. "Adrien," I said calmly, even though my chest felt tight, "before you go, my lawyer asked me to give you this." He turned, confused. That confusion would soon become horror. But first, this is how we got here. 6 months earlier, I believed my life was perfect. Morning sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Beverly Hills mansion, lighting up the marble floors. I was in the kitchen making Adrien's favorite breakfast, egg white omelet with truffle oil. After 15 years of marriage, I still smiled when I heard his footsteps on the stairs. "Smells amazing, baby," he said, kissing my cheek. His Tom Ford cologne filled the air, the one I had bought him for Christmas. "Big day today?" I asked, pouring his coffee. "Black, no sugar. Hong Kong investors are flying in," he said, scrolling through his phone. "If this deal works out, Monaco won't just be for our anniversary. We might buy a place there." Monaco. Our anniversary was 3 weeks away. 15 years since we married in a tiny Vegas chapel. Back when Adrien had nothing and I worked 2 jobs to help my sister Bailey through college. "Speaking of plans," he said casually, "I need you to handle the right foundation dinner next week. Samara specifically wants you organizing the auction." "Of course," I said, even though my schedule was already full. My phone buzzed. "Bailey." I ignored it. She'd been distant lately. "And cancel whatever you have Thursday," Adrien added. "The Marshalls are hosting a pool party. Richard Marshall might invest in the Singapore project." The mention of Richard made my skin crawl, but Adrien never noticed. "I have book club Thursday," I said softly. He finally looked up, annoyed. "Book club? Isla, this is a $50 million deal. Your little book club can wait." Everything about me was little now. The doorbell rang. "That's Dimitri," Adrien said. "We're heading to the office. Don't wait up. Client dinner." Another one. After he left, the house felt too quiet, too perfect, the kind of life everyone envied. My phone buzzed again. "Natalie, coffee tomorrow. Important." I agreed, then got ready to play my role again. Mrs. Adrien Sterling, the perfect wife. If only I'd known that 3 weeks later, on a yacht in Monaco, he would hand me divorce papers with a smile. The coffee shop on Rodeo Drive was busy, but Natalie had our usual table. She looked exhausted. "You look terrible," I joked. She didn't smile. "Isla, we need to talk about Adrien." My stomach dropped. "What about him?" "I saw him last night. He wasn't with clients. He was with a young woman." She showed me the photo. Adrien's hand on the woman's thigh. Her laughing, beautiful, young. "Maybe she's a client," I whispered. "They left together," Natalie said. "Her name is Avon Nicole. She's been on his payroll for 6 months. Apartment, car, everything paid for. 6 months. While I planned our anniversary." "I need to go," I said, standing up. "Be smart," Natalie warned. "We have a prenup. Get it. Read it. Document everything." At home, the house felt like a lie. I went into Adrien's office. The safe was hidden behind a painting. The combination was our wedding date. Inside were documents, investments, and the prenup. I sat at his desk and read it for the first time. Separate property. No spousal support. Non-disclosure agreement. Then I reached page 12, and my blood ran cold. There was an addendum dated 1 year after our marriage. The signature at the bottom was mine, but I had no memory of signing it. The document stated that in the event of divorce, Adrien would receive nearly everything, unless the divorce was caused by proven adultery on his part. My hands began to shake as I read it again. The signature looked like mine, but something was wrong. The curve of the I in my name, the pressure of the pen strokes, Before I dropped out of college, I had been an art major. I knew about forgeries. I knew how tiny details gave them away. My phone rang. "Hey baby," Adrien said warmly. "Just reminding you about the right foundation meeting tomorrow. Samara's expecting you at 10. "I'll be there," I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "Perfect. Oh, and I've planned a surprise for Monaco. I upgraded the yacht package. Nothing but the best for our anniversary." After he hung up, I sat alone in his office, surrounded by pieces of our life. Photos from trips, awards with his name engraved, a pressed flower from my wedding bouquet framed on the shelf. I picked up the prenup again and stared at that signature. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my sister. Bailey answered immediately. "Isla, I've been trying to reach you." "I'm sorry," I said. "I need to ask you something. About a year after I got married, do you remember me signing any legal documents?" There was silence. Then she said quietly, "We need to meet. Not at your house. Somewhere Adrien won't know." Fear crept into my chest. "Bailey, what's going on? Please meet me tonight. The dive bar on Sunset. 8 o'clock. And don't tell anyone you're coming. Especially not Adrien." The bar hadn't changed in 15 years. Sticky floors, flickering neon. Bailey sat in the back booth, baseball cap pulled low. She looked exhausted. Before I could speak, she said, "I never meant for this to go so far." "You're scaring me," I said. She opened her tablet and turned it toward me. "You asked about signing documents. This is why I remember. It was a bank statement. Adrien's business account. A transfer of $50,000 to Bailey's account, dated 1 week after the addendum was supposedly signed. "He paid you," I whispered. Bailey's eyes filled with tears. "He told me you were sick, said you were refusing medication. He showed me psychiatric reports. Said if you signed the updated prenup, he could help you without having you institutionalized." "I've never seen a psychiatrist," I said. "I know that now," she cried. "But he was convincing. He said the money was for your treatment. Asked me to manage it so you wouldn't know." My heart raced. "So you forged my signature?" "No," she said quickly. "Not exactly. He had you sign something else. Said it was insurance paperwork. I merged the signature digitally. It's what I do. I didn't realize what it was until 3 weeks ago." She pulled up another document. A legal notice from Sterling Enterprises reminding her of the NDA she'd signed. It demanded repayment of the money with interest and threatened criminal charges. "He's threatening you," I said. "Isla," she whispered. "You're not the first." She showed me another folder. Photos, documents, names. "Remember Grant Hoffman?" she asked. "Adrien's former partner. Gone without explanation. Adrien framed him for embezzlement," Bailey said. "Forced him to sign over his shares. Grant's wife contacted me. I felt sick." "There's more," Bailey said. "Former employees, partners, and his first wife." My breath caught. First wife. Her name was Lillian. She's been in a psychiatric facility for 12 years. Her family says Adrien had her committed when she tried to expose his fraud. "The man I loved wasn't just cruel. He was dangerous." "And Aviana," Bailey continued. "She's Richard Marshall's daughter. Adrien promised you to Richard in exchange for the merger. That's why the divorce is coming." "How do you know?" I asked. "Aviana told me. Adrien plans to serve you papers in Monaco. International waters. Harder to challenge the prenup." Everything clicked into place. "Bailey," I said, "I need everything. Every document." She nodded. "But you have to be careful." "I will be," I said. "And I need you to analyze the signature. Prove it's forged." "I can," she said quietly. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. I smiled, cooked breakfast, kissed Adrien goodnight. While behind his back, I worked with Natalie and a forensic accountant named Jerome. We met in secret. Parking garages. Empty churches. "Your husband hides money offshore," Jerome said. "That violates the prenup." Bailey discovered the psychiatrist had lost his license years earlier. Adrien grew suspicious. He checked my phone. Showed up unexpectedly. Aviana contacted me through a burner phone. She confessed everything. The money laundering, the casinos, the merger. 3 days before Monaco, Adrien gave me a diamond necklace. "You'll love the trip," he said. That night, I photographed every document in his safe. And then I found the life insurance policy. $10 million. Updated 1 month ago. Accidental death paid double. A boating accident in Monaco. I met Natalie the next morning. "We file today," she said. And for the first time I knew. I wasn't trapped. I was ready. I met Natalie at her office at 6 a.m. A quiet, cold space filled with file cabinets and legal tomes. Jerome was already there, sorting through a stack of documents I had photographed the night before. The tension in the room was thick. We didn't speak much, our eyes did the talking. "This will have to be fast," Natalie said, tapping her pen against the desk. "Adrien leaves for Monaco tomorrow. We have less than 48 hours to make sure the court seals this before he serves you the divorce papers." I nodded. "Do we have enough?" Jerome glanced up from the spreadsheets. "We do. Offshore accounts, falsified medical records, forged signatures, the life insurance policy changes, and enough proof of his affair to trigger the prenup exception. We just need to present it correctly. Timing is everything." Natalie leaned forward. "Isla, you'll be the petitioner. But we have to appear anonymous to avoid tipping him off. We file the motion, it's sealed immediately, and a judge can freeze his accounts temporarily. Once we do that, he won't be able to touch anything without our knowledge. Then you decide how to proceed." I swallowed hard. "I'm ready." The filing took longer than expected. Each form had to be perfect. Any mistake and Adrien would find a loophole. Jerome worked on the financial exhibits. Bailey finalized the forensic report proving the signature on the addendum was forged, and Natalie handled the legal paperwork. By noon it was done. We filed electronically, with instructions to seal everything. My hands shook as I hit the submit button. It was real. Adrien was no longer untouchable. The next morning, I watched Adrien leave for Monaco, suitcase in hand, the sun glinting off his expensive watch. He kissed me on the cheek, whispered, "Love you, can't wait for the celebration," and left. I waited until he was gone, then started preparing for the next stage. I spent hours reviewing every file, memorizing account numbers, dates, names, emails. Jerome gave me instructions on how to navigate the frozen accounts remotely if needed. Bailey and Aviana were in constant contact, helping me piece together Adrien's network and the laundering schemes. By the evening before the Monaco trip, I felt a strange mix of adrenaline and fear. I was walking on a tightrope with no safety net. One misstep, and Adrien could retaliate in ways I couldn't imagine. But I had control for the first time in 15 years. I packed carefully for the trip, making sure my laptop and encrypted USB drives were in my carry-on. Adrien wouldn't suspect a thing. I smiled as I zipped the suitcase, imagining the look on his face when he realized he couldn't manipulate me anymore. The flight to Monaco was tense. Adrien chatted casually, sipping champagne and pointing out the coastline. I nodded, smiled, laughed at the right moments. But inside, I was calculating every move, imagining how to present the evidence, when to confront him and how to take down his empire. The yacht was magnificent, the kind of luxury Adrien loved to flaunt. The crystal glasses sparkled in the sunlight. The crew moved like clockwork, and every detail screamed wealth and control. But my mind wasn't on the views or the parties. It was on him. The night of our anniversary, Adrien held a toast. "To 15 incredible years," he said, raising his glass. I lifted mine, smiled, and waited. Later, when the yacht was quiet, I excused myself to my suite. Jerome's instructions were clear. This was the moment to secure the accounts, check the freezes, and prepare the next wave. I logged into the secure portal from my laptop. Every offshore account Adrien had was frozen. The life insurance policy, reviewed and documented. The evidence against him, safe and ready to present. I could hear the faint sound of his voice laughing somewhere on the deck, oblivious to the storm about to hit. The next morning, the yacht crew announced that there were documents to be delivered to my suite. My heart raced as I opened the envelope. Inside were copies of the motion signed and sealed by the judge. Adrien had no idea. I smiled, feeling a thrill I hadn't felt in years. Later, on the deck, Adrien approached me. "Isla, everything ready for our celebration?" "Almost," I said softly, turning my phone so it wasn't visible. "But I wanted to show you something first." He leaned closer, curious. I handed him one of the printed copies of the sealed motion. "What's this?" he asked, his voice tense. "This, Adrien, is the proof that the prenup you forged is invalid. Your offshore accounts are frozen, your financial activities under investigation, and every step you took to manipulate, deceive, and control me is documented." His face went pale. He laughed nervously. This isn't possible." "It is," I said. "And it's just the beginning. I have everything. The forged medical records, the falsified signature, the affair evidence, the money laundering. And when I present this, your empire collapses. You've manipulated everyone, used everyone, and now you'll answer for it." Adrien stepped back, his confidence faltering. "Isla, you can't." "I can," I said. "And I will. For Lillian. For Grant. For Aviana. For every person you've hurt." He was silent, the reality finally sinking in. The man who had controlled every aspect of my life was suddenly powerless. I spent the rest of the day compiling and securing digital backups. Bailey, Jerome, and Natalie coordinated remotely, ensuring that every piece of evidence had redundancy. I could finally see a path to freedom, to justice, to reclaiming my life. That evening, Adrien tried to charm me, but I didn't respond. I left the deck and went to my suite. I sat down, finally breathing. 15 years of fear, manipulation, and control had led to this moment. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was planning the reckoning. In the quiet of my suite, I thought about what I'd lost, what I'd endured, and what I was about to take back. 15 years of devotion had been twisted into a trap. But now, I was holding the key. Adrien wouldn't see it coming. Not the legal strategy, not the public exposure, not the unraveling of everything he had built on lies. I had learned to be patient, to gather evidence, to wait for the perfect moment. And now, the moment had arrived. The next day, when the yacht set sail toward the open waters near Monaco, Adrien believed he had the upper hand. He didn't know the judge had already sealed the motion, the accounts were frozen, and the investigation had begun. I watched the sun glint off the waves, feeling the weight of every injustice lift slightly from my shoulders. I had control. I had power. I had evidence. Adrien might have married me, controlled me, and deceived me for 15 years, but I had one advantage he never could take away. I had nothing left to lose, and that made me unstoppable. As the yacht approached Monaco, I allowed myself a small smile. This was the beginning of the end for Adrien Sterling, and for the first time in years I felt free. I was ready, free, determined, dangerous, and nothing would stop me from taking back everything he had tried to steal. The morning Adrien planned to hand me the divorce papers arrived calm and bright, the sea stretching endlessly around us. He moved through the yacht with confidence, greeting the crew, joking with the captain, completely unaware that his world was already collapsing. I watched him from a distance, memorizing the way he walked, the way he smiled. I had loved that man once. Now I only felt clarity. He found me on the upper deck just after breakfast. "Ready for a little surprise?" he asked, slipping his arm around my waist. I smiled. "I've been waiting." We sat across from each other at a small table overlooking the water. Champagne was poured. The breeze carried the scent of salt and sunscreen. Adrien reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "There's something we need to discuss," he said gently, rehearsed sympathy in his voice. I didn't reach for it. "I know," I said. That stopped him. "I know about Aviana, about Richard Marshall, about the merger, the casinos, the money laundering." I spoke calmly, one sentence at a time, watching his face change color. I know about Lillian, Grant, the forged psychiatric records, the addendum you created without my consent, the insurance policy. His hand tightened around the envelope. You don't understand what you're saying. I understand everything, I replied. And the courts do too. I slid my phone across the table. On the screen was the court order. Account